Hello, and welcome to Recapping with Delora
and Ashley.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Recapping Podcast.
Also, rate, review, and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform. We're on all the things.
We want to hear your thoughts on the movies and shows we review.
Leave us a comment on Apple Podcasts or our YouTube channel, and we will read them during the show.
Or reach out to us on social media. We love talking all things entertainment and pop culture with you.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you. Hello, Ashley.
Howdy, howdy. How's it going today?
You know, things are going. A lot of moving parts. The biggest one is my child going to first grade. So that's like major, Ashley. Like, I remember how old I was and that experience being in freaking first grade. And
me too, because I got chicken pox.
Did you?
Yes, first grade is when I got the chicken pox and had one of my favorite teachers, because I had a lot of great elementary school. Actually, all of my elementary school teachers were incredible.
Yeah.
I had a fantastic experience, but shout out to Miss Hasty, my first grade teacher.
Shout out to Miss Johnson. I had a young white woman who was in the middle of the city, Detroit, teaching all us children. She was very sweet and she made us very curious. Like, so we learned about like bugs and how people around the world eat certain things. Like, this is when I found out people eat red dirt. Like, that's a thing. Actually, here in the United States, specifically in the South, and then overseas in Australia, I want to say. And she's like, yeah, we're going to eat worms and dirt. And she gave us the date, and we like would go into class leading up to this particular date. Like, are you going to eat it? Are you going to eat it? We're, baiting ourselves. And the day came, and it was Oreo chocolate pudding and gummy worms. And it's like, it's still obviously still with me. And it just makes me smile every time I think about it. And in fun news, girl, speaking of adulting, we bought kitchen appliances. I have a brand new fridge and stove, Ashley.
Nice.
I say that because
that's fun. As an adult, those things get very exciting.
Truly. And you know what was so funny? When we bought our house, our fridge and stove came with it. And it was like right after the pandemic, and people weren't able to get them, right? And the prices were higher, and the lead times of delivery was super long. And so one day we were in Lowe's, and I was like, let's price them out. And then when we priced them out and like learned that we could get them in 2 days, I was like, man, things have changed in these last few years. And so we went ahead and got them. I'm just super excited. So, okay, adulting.
Adulting. I was just gonna say about school real quick too. It's crazy how early kids go to school now. Like, girl, we went to school after Labor Day. Same. And I'm just like, what's up with these kids going back into July? Some kids beginning of August. I'm like, man, where's the summer? For the kids August and the parents.
Very much summer in my mind. So yeah, this makes no sense to me. I agree.
Crazy times.
Crazy times. All right, Ashley, we have a few headlines today, starting off with D23. First of all, were you familiar with this extravaganza? They call it the Ultimate Disney Fan Event, where they talk everything from films, TV, music, games, and more.
I was not really aware of this, and the only reason why it really came to my attention is because of Freaky Friday. Like
Really?
that was the big thing that caught my eye, was that announcement of Freakier Friday. And I was like, oh, is this an annual thing? Because, I'm used to like the upfronts, having worked in
Up
television,
front.
but
Yep.
upfronts are in May. So I was
Yes.
not used to this additional, I guess, Disney extravaganza. Um, I guess it's kind of like Comic-Con in a sense,
Kind
but like
of.
the Disney version.
It's like
So
Comic-Con and Upfront like mixed together.
yeah.
And they also talk about like plans for the parks as well. I didn't know fans could attend. Honestly, it was a creator recently on her social media showing that she attended. I was like, oh, I didn't know we could essentially get a ticket to go there. I thought it was just for, kind of like Apple. It was like all employees, stakeholders, like, and but it got out to the news later. So I was just fascinated by it. There was a lot of exciting announcements. We have Agatha All Along is coming. She had a musical number.
Finally, we just talked about this. I said, where is the show?
Exactly. And I was like, it's coming, Ashley. It's coming. We have Ironheart coming. Ryan Coogler is executive producer for it. What else is interesting? Coleman Domingo is going to play Norman Osborn in the Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider animation. I think the most exciting thing, so two exciting things. They're going to do a Villain Land, and I'm like, yes, please. I think I would love that so much, especially because we live in the era of Descendants, right? So the conversation of villains are a lot different than they were like when we were growing up.
I mean, but it's not even just that. There's been like a redemption arc for villainous
Yes,
characters for a while in content that we
true.
consume, right? And there's
Yes.
also the anti-hero that has
Yep.
made a huge splash in these universes. So it makes total sense. And who doesn't love a great villain? Come on, Killmonger.
I mean, one of my favorite villains, obviously, we talk about her all the time, Ursula. But Emperor's New Groove. What's her name? Eva? Did you
I'm
not
not the
see
one to
Emperor's
ask.
New
I
Groove?
did, but I'm not it's not doesn't fall under the Disney classic umbrella of films I've watched on repeat over the course of my life. Like it's not an Aladdin, it's not a Lion King. I don't remember.
Yzma,
Okay.
Yzma. And the reason why I bring her up is they need to make a roller coaster out of her dungeon. Like, I don't know if you, again, you say you didn't watch it a lot, but if y'all have, you know what I'm talking about. When her and Krog goes into her lair, it is essentially a roller coaster down to
I
um
remember the
the
scene that you're
basement.
talking
Yeah.
about. I remember that scene. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the Disney park stuff was exciting. Am I going to pay to go to any of this shit? Probably not, but it sounds great. You can have a Villain Land, Monsters Inc.
Yep.
Land coming to Disney Hollywood Studios,
Yep.
Avengers. I mean, Encanto. You got a lot of stuff coming. Am I going to, as a grown adult without children, pay to go to any of this? No.
Okay. Well, I would definitely consider going to some of these things. Um,
And
and
y'all, I lived in Orlando. I've been over it. So this is not a new thing for me. I literally only went to Disney for work and to drink around the resorts. So,
that
and
is
for a wedding,
hilarious to
because I
me.
forgot I was in a wedding at
That
Disney.
was televised.
That was televised. Yes. I think it was on Freeform.
It was, yeah.
Yep.
They also have their Disney Legends, and I think this is such a cool situation. They say here Disney Legends Award program is a hall of fame for individuals who have had a significant impact on the Disney legacy. So past honorees include Christina Aguilera, Stan Lee, Betty White, and Oprah Winfrey. So for this class, we have I'm highlighting the people that I feel like our audience would know. So, the Angela Bassett, James Cameron, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kelly Ripa, and I thought this was lovely. Disney Parks cast member, her name is Martha Blanning. She was like the first permanent tour guide, Black tour guide at Disneyland. And she stayed with the parks and retired, I believe, after 50 years. And I think it was her feature was so inspirational to me because they were like, "Did you think you'd be a legend?" She's like, "No, I didn't." But she's happy that she is. And I'm just like, you know what? That's so beautiful.
Well, that's also a great department that is running it, that they, go into the archives in this way and really try to pay attention to not just celebrities, but like the employees who have made the Disney brand and legacy what it is. So that's kudos to that department as well, because the people who work for an organization make all the difference in stuff like this and decisions like this.
Excellent point, Ashley. Okay, speaking of more Hollywood people, though, we do have Harrison Ford and the youngest ever honoree, Miley Cyrus. So my question is, when is Raven getting hers, though?
Maybe because they like Raven ain't quite done just yet. So let's hold off a little bit longer.
Raven is still making it do what it do on Disney, and I love that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe they're like, she's not done with us yet. So let's hold off till she, I mean, even though Kelly ain't done either. But yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe they're just waiting to give her flowers in a few, but Kelly got hers. So yeah, Raven's up. She deserves it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wouldn't mind attending D23. But we'll see.
You wouldn't mind? You say that like it's something I might consider. If you got a ticket to D23, you're going. What are you talking about?
Of course I am. But what I'm saying is one of those things where it's like, oh, that wasn't on my list. Now it is. You know what I mean?
Wasn't on the bingo card, as people always like to say.
Yeah, it wasn't. And now I'm like, oh, okay. Bet. Girl. Okay. So this was a feel-good conversation. Janet Jackson was recently on doing some radio show, BBC Radio. And they started talking about her freaking family tree. And it blew my mind, actually. We found out that she is cousins with Stevie Wonder, Tracy Chapman, and Samuel L. Mother effing Jackson. And I was completely gagged. Like, I was not ready. Did you know of any of these individuals being related to the Jacksons?
No, I posted this to our stories earlier. I was today years old when I discovered this information and have since related. It's mind-blowing, the level of talent that can possibly exist in one gene pool. And how have we never heard this before? Like Janet was just talking about how she don't feel like she give a good interview, and then she blows our minds with this information. Like there's no way that Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, and Stevie Wonder,
can you imagine,
are all related.
Songs in the Key of Life. Yo, like
it's disgusting. God, spread some of this out. Spread some of this talent out.
Yeah, Songs in the Key of Life and Thriller in the same.
It's disgusting. Spread some of this talent out. Are you kidding me? Motown was living off their backs of the Jacksons family and lineage.
Truly. After Diana, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because Stevie Wonder was a child prodigy. I think some people forget that. Stevie been doing this since a baby.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like,
playing that harmonica.
I don't know if I don't know if he gets the legendary credit that he deserves sometimes. I'm like, he's been doing this his entire life and doing it well.
I don't know about the white community, but in the Black community, absolutely he gets his legendary status.
You understand what I mean? And
we had a whole compilation collection for Stevie when I was growing up.
Oh, my dad loved Stevie Wonder. I grew up Ribbon in the Sky, My
His
Cheerio
music makes me
More.
emotional, and I think it's because of
Truly.
the like all the memories I have attached to his
Same.
music. Because I said I was, and it's funny we're talking about
As
this. I
As
was
is my
just I
song.
was just in Atlanta, and I was talking about that. Like it was like two songs of his was coming on. I was like, I'm tearing up. Like Stevie Wonder
Same.
just makes me emotional.
Truly. You're not even lying. When I hear my song, I just said it. As I one, I want to do the electric slide, but then two, I'm like bawling my eyes out.
Well, I mean,
Always into the
not even just his classics, but then, you know, he sung the Black Happy Birthday song forever, not just for MLK, for all of us.
For all of us. And you're not at a Black function until you get both renditions of Happy Birthday, by the way.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, shout out to their ancestors, because I mean,
it's crazy. Like I said,
now with Tracy Chapman, I can kind of see it with the dimple. Like I'm like they got that dimple situation going on. I'm like, oh, maybe I see it.
yeah, but they
Samuel
don't have
L.
their original faces, so I be forgetting what they used to look like. The Jackson side. You got to go back. You got to go back in some archives to remember the originals, the OG faces. You know what I'm saying? Take it back to the 80s, baby. 70s for some of them. Because Michael's already fucking with his nose by the 80s.
Right.
So.
Lord, give me.
It's the facts. Them's the facts. Jermaine's hair hasn't moved in 50 years.
What is that? Like, what is it?
I don't know. I really don't know. You think about it, he probably uses what, you know how they were talking about in the Olympics, how the swimmers, that hair don't move, baby.
What would be hilarious if it's not even his after a while. Like
right. And it's probably not. It's probably not.
Well, you said it. Okay.
But it's all love. Legends. It's all love.
It's like simply, if you know, you know. Let's go ahead and get into our hot topics. Ashley, it ends with us movie drama. We haven't had this much cast drama since Don't Worry, Darling.
I knew you were going to say that. Absolutely.
Because let's remember that there was an affair, families were broken up, there was a superstar, there was animosity across the cast, there was an actress turned director.
Florence Pugh had to carry that on her back.
Truly. And then did Harry Styles spit on my new favorite Chris? The world may never know.
If he did, I would be ready to punch Harry Styles in the face. Spitting on somebody is crazy. Crazy.
Truly.
And then the relationship didn't even last.
It didn't even last the press tour. That's embarrassing, I feel like.
Depends on what she wanted out of it, right? She may have got what she needed. I don't think she was planning to marry Harry. I could be wrong. He was a cutie though. Nice little time.
But it was a bit cliche though.
Men get to be cliche. I salute you for being cliche too, sis. Go ahead and get you a little young tenderoni. As the director, is it an abuse of power? Probably.
Absolutely.
But
so this is when it came on my radar, Ashley. Jenny Slate was talking about the film, and they asked her about Justin Baldoni's role as both a lead actor and director, and she completely curbed that answer in a very visceral way, to the point where people on the internet noticed that everyone on the cast no longer follows Justin. And then as the premiere approached, there were more interviews, and there was no Justin. It was Blake and everybody else. Blake and the author of the book, It Ends With Us, Colleen Hoover, who, y'all, I think she's a masochist. Her storylines are so out of this world, and they have the nerve to be called romances. I digress.
She's the white Tyler Perry of the romance world.
Girl, you said it.
AIDS and a limp. I'll never get over that.
November 9th, whoever read that mess, Verity. And that's my problem. Let me go story time really quick. As you know, I enjoy fiction now. And this was actually one of the first books I picked up when I was like on a roll. Like I read The Love Hypothesis and Spanish Deception and like really cute, fluffy rom-com books. And this cute pink book was in the midst of those books. And I was like, yes, let's read them. I like to go in cold. I don't read a synopsis or anything. I like to go in cold and explore it for myself. We learn about Lily Bloom. We learn about her love affair with Ryle, and Atlas. It's a bit of a love triangle, so to speak. But actually, this book is about domestic violence, or DV, for those who were triggered. And it's an important message. It was very messy reading it. And I understand why someone picked it up and wanted to make it a film. And that person was Justin. He worked with the writer of the book. This project was a 5-year project, okay? Blake comes in as the lead, and this is where the rumors start, right? Part of the reason why they are isolated is due to apparently creative differences. It said that Justin wanted to lean on the journey of Lily Bloom, getting out of this relationship into a healthier one. And instead of asking why women stay, ask why men hurt. And the rumor is Blake and her team came in, and I should say Blake and Ryan came in and tried to make it a bit of a rom-com. And so they have these competing directions for the film. And you can tell based off of the interview, the same thing. And so because of that, like, for example, whenever Justin is talking about the film, he praises Blake and he praises the story, and he gives resources for women or anyone who's dealing with DV. While Blake is out here talking about bring your girlfriends and wear your florals, and she's promoting a hair product, and they have like this really silly promotional with Ryan and his mother and the gentleman who plays Atlas in the film. And it's like tone deaf. And because of that, public opinion was leaning towards Justin. And so I say all that to say, it's been getting real nasty lately, okay? The film managed to perform really well at the box office. It's currently number 1, beating out Deadpool and Wolverine. But the conversation in the media is just getting dirty. Part of me, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, I feel like Blake's team realizes that public opinion is not on their side. So now there's these headlines that said, Justin made her feel uncomfortable on set. And he recently hired Melissa Nathan, who is a PR crisis manager, to combat some of those negative headlines. Ashley, I want to know what your thoughts are. But more importantly, do you think this is a PR stunt, or do you think this mess is real? And does this really help the box office?
First of all, thank you for that breakdown. It's the one I've been waiting for. Guys, I texted Delora myself and said, what's really good? Because if anyone knew, I knew she would know. So thank you for that. I have started to see some of the nastier headlines, right? And see the chatter even in the comment section from people seeming like that there's some bias and pulling down positive stories about Justin and this, and that. So let me start with the question about, do I think this is good for the box office? Sure. Absolutely. Because this movie was not remotely on my radar personally, and I'm more inclined to be interested in it simply because, just like I was with Don't Worry, Darling, I want to know if the shenanigans were worthwhile with what you actually produced and put on the screen, right? So absolutely, it's good for the box office. Is this just for PR or is this real? That is a great question. That has been my question as I've seen it, because from my perspective, I like everybody involved. Like, I love Jenny Slate. I've loved Jenny Slate for a long time. I love Justin. Yeah, I love Justin. Shout out to Jane the Virgin, that he was always my choice. I stopped watching Jane the Virgin because of them trying to have her be with Michael so much.
Laying in our faces.
Y'all, I ship hard. Okay, I was not here for the shenanigans, and I loved that show. And then Blake, me and Blake been down since Gossip Girl, since she had her original nose. Again, talking about people with plastic surgery. Let's not forget the sister of the traveling pants when she had her first nose. I've been with you.
People don't like to talk about that with her. I think because it's very subtle compared to work other people have gotten.
It's subtle if you don't see a side by side. When you see that side by side, you're like, well, goddamn, yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Still was beautiful, but absolutely. Truly. Rhinoplasty for sure. But I've been down with you. And so I just hate to see this. Like, it feels like nobody is the villain, but they're trying to create a villain. And I'm just not really a fan of that. I told you when we text that if everybody in the cast is against Justin, then I'm team Justin for the sake of, I don't like bullying. And you're not going to pit an entire cast of people against one person. That's not right, because Justin's not, from what I've ever seen or understood of him, from his podcast, everything, a bad person who came into this with any bad intentions. Now, the only thing I can say that sometimes I feel like may give Blake an edge is the thought of, oh, well, this is a man trying to tell this story and it really should have been a woman, because this is a story about women dealing with domestic violence, X, Y, and Z. And so it'd be like the equivalent of, like, you have a white director versus a black director, and this is a black story. So the black person comes in with their perspective and the white person had their perspective creatively. And so who do you favor more in terms of whose perspective should have won? Because who has more of a potentially closer lived experience to what the storyline is? I get all of that. But at the end of the day, am I here for the infighting in this? No. And it's not even as juicy as Don't Worry, Darling, because at least with Don't Worry, Darling, people were getting fucked. And things were happening.
There was an actual affair.
Like, but what's the Ashley, beef?
It's so funny that you say that, because I was like, so what is this page 6 headline of her feeling uncomfortable? And apparently she was dealing with postpartum on set. And he has to pick her up in some of the scenes. And I guess he asked what her weight was so he could train to pick her up. And that made her uncomfortable. I was like, really? I thought that would be thoughtful, like at least to his back. And, I did question, the public opinion in terms of, like, as a society, it is very patriarchal. So people tend to side with the men, especially with him going with freaking Johnny Depp's PR crisis. Now, to be fair, she has done amazing work with other people. I just hate that Johnny Depp is like the main client. But if you're coming out talking about uncomfortable in the world post Me Too, of course he's probably like, let me lawyer up, let me get this going to protect my name. So I don't know. It's
because he also doesn't have the star power that she has behind him.
Exactly.
He don't have Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman on the red carpet with him.
And that's why I feel like, because again, he has never shown in his entire public persona, and I've been following him for years, because again, courtesy of Jane the Virgin, him being known to, be ugly on set or anything like that. Like, he really goes for these type of, Fault in Our Stars kind of content on a regular basis. So like I think he was very mindful and very aware of the project. And it was just the fact that apparently 2 cuts of the movie was done, because when she signed on, her and Ryan, put a lot of money into it. I guess during the writer's strike, Ryan rewrote one of, a famous scene on the rooftop, and maybe he thought it would be more collaborative, and then he just got railroaded or something like that. And when it comes to the cast not following him versus her, I think it's a power situation as well. So
absolutely.
we will see. But again, his main character, Ryle, is a piece of shit in the book. And so maybe I'm also, this is me just, playing the advocate. Maybe it was an Ike moment for Lawrence Fishburne in terms of you got into character and maybe you couldn't get out of it or something.
I would hope not. The last thing I want to say is let's always remember that these are artists and that they get sensitive about their creative endeavors, So that at the end of the day could be what it came down to is, just sensitivities and strong feelings and passions about how this story should really be told. And if that's the case, then let's chalk it up to I didn't get along with my coworker and not make it this contentious.
So well said, because there is a sequel. It starts with us. And people have been asking Justin, like, oh, will you take over the second movie or the sequel? And he point blank said, oh, I think Blake Lively would be ready to direct. That's what I think. And so this is juicy. I would like this to go away now that the movie is out in the theaters for everyone's sake, because it has been kind of cringe watching Blake Lively talk through the DV of the character. And she keeps saying, oh, it's the journey of a woman. She doesn't want to play her as a victim. But I think focusing on wearing florals and having cute hair is not, I think it's disrespectful for the overarching story that the novel is based off of, which is based and inspired by a real life struggle. So people genuinely go through this. It'd be nice to respect their stories and not be so flippant with it. Because like some of those interviews, Ashley, it was rough. Even the gentleman who played Atlas, I'm sorry, I don't know his name. He was giving Blake the side eye, like
he has such a great voice. Very soothing.
He does. Yes. Okay. That is all. All right. Our final hot topic for today, Ashley. These 2024 Olympics. This is pretty legendary. Like, I don't know what it was about this Olympics, but it was pretty hype for me.
For sure. I'm sad it's over. It was fun.
Having withdrawals. Now, to be fair, there is the Paralympics that's going to be starting, I believe, August 28th. So looking forward to seeing Tara's husband. I believe his name isn't it Hunter?
Yes, such a sweetheart.
Yes. And you know what I love about them? I've been following them for a while. And so for them to get like this level of attention, I think is sweet and adorable. And I just here for it. Shout out to you, Tara, for winning your gold medal.
Just heard him talk about their meet cute and the fact she shot her shot at him and slid into his DMs. I was like, okay.
Oh,
Sis said, cute. I saw what I wanted. She said the first time she came up to him, she was like, I don't know why, but I just feel like I need to give you a hug. Oh, okay. Game, baby. That's game.
Truly. There's a lot to talk about, Ashley. Let's first talk about these basketball. I didn't know I needed Steph and LeBron to be on the same team, Ashley. I didn't know I needed it. It like healed a part of my soul. I mean, and Steph was so lethal in that final game. And the fact that his shirt post game said night night in French was just savage. Savage. Ashley. And then let's talk about the women. They won by 1 point. I watched that game and I was holding my breath. This, I don't know if y'all know this, but the women's basketball team with this win won 61 games in a row. This is their winning streak at the Olympics.
Damn. 1 point is 1 point though.
I mean, so is the skin on the skin of the teeth thinking about Noah and that freaking one by 100.
Like a 13th of a second or something. It was crazy.
Insanity. And then what else is going on? We have the basketball. We have breakdancing.
Breaking.
Australia. Did you see it?
How could I not? Like, it's inescapable to not see this woman bunny hop and whatever the fuck else she was doing on that stage and got 0 scores. I did go and find a video of her like in prep for the Olympics, and I think I heard somebody say it on another podcast that like it didn't seem like she was going to not to do what she did. Like it didn't seem like she just did not know what she was doing. So her performance was kind of surprising that it was just, I guess, that bad. But I'm still not here for, like I said, bullying. Like the internet, y'all need to chill. Like, yes, she's not our cup of tea, but when I was watching a lot of people,
Black people,
exactly. When I was watching a lot of people, I was like, what? So what qualified to reach this level? Because when you think about the Olympics, a lot of times you're thinking about the elite of their field and
cream
sport.
of the crop.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I was like, so Australia, this is who represents y'all country?
Well, the controversy is, the rumor that I saw is that she's leading the governing body that chose the people who represented Australia, and her husband's on the board. And
so this was a nepotism choice.
They said that she took the spot of other people. So potentially, allegedly. And
well, guess who's getting the last laugh now, baby? Because damn, she embarrassed herself. Something like that, I don't know how I'd come back from. That was hella embarrassing.
Well, 2 things. I saw other Olympians say, like, I nearly died for my sport, and I see this, and I think this devalues my medals. I was like, yo, but they don't have to worry about it in LA 2028, Ashley, because they ain't coming back.
No, America was like, we ain't playing with y'all. Because I think one thing too,
no Black judges either. Black on the women's side. There were no Black contestants. I think there were a few Black people on the men's side, but still.
My thought, even when this was announced, I was like, breaking is not a sport, in my opinion. It's a form of creativity. It's dancing, but not dancing that I would feel like you can score people on in this way, the way you do with other Olympic competitions. So I always found it a little odd that it was getting in there. Like, what's next? The Jabberwockies gonna come out next, and we're gonna have America's Next Dance Crew.
I would have loved it.
Pop out.
It would have been better than what happened.
It would have absolutely been better, but you get my point. Like,
yeah, this isn't so you think you can dance, right?
Where are we going with
the Olympics?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many things that I wanted to talk to you about. Let's go to track and field. So we talked about Tara, but let's talk about these relay races. Shout out to Sha'Carri. I mean, that her being the anchor, I believe it was the is it 4 by 100 meter? Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. The women's 4x100 meter relay was outstanding to watch. Like, and then the way Sha'Carri crossed the finish line, she looked over to her left and was like, you know what? Peace. Fire.
That's going to be an amazing commercial because somebody's going to use it. Nike.
I'm happy she's able to get gold. Like, I know she won silver. We talked about the controversy around her not being able to warm up in our last conversation. But I'm proud of her. I'm proud of our team. I mean, shout out to TT. TT was who I was trying to remember, had the braids, the two back. Braids. And that don't slow her down at all. And then we have Gabby Thomas, and then we have I believe her name is Sonia, the I should know, the hurdle winner. Did you see the abomination with the men's rally? That handoff, they ultimately got disqualified.
I didn't, but I definitely heard that they are upset and that they are not happy with, what essentially happened. So I heard about it after the fact, but I didn't catch the actual race.
Legendary Carl Lewis was like, y'all need to revamp this entire program from top to bottom because I am sick of us losing. And apparently this has been the bane of the U.S. track and field existence for decades now. So that was fascinating. So speaking of track and field stars, part of the reason why it didn't work out is because Noah had to drop out because of COVID. But I'm not saying he wasn't sick, Ashley. I just find it interesting, like 3 days after the fact he was partying it up at the closing of the Olympics. Did you see that?
I heard about it, but it is a difference between being at your top physical peak to run an Olympic race versus just hanging out, right? Like that takes a different level of energy. Now, would I be hanging around him if he did he retest? Like, are we sure
he did it? He posted it online.
Okay, because that was the whole thing for me. Is like, why are you even out here potentially getting other people sick? If you've tested positive already, you already know. So why are you still here? Was my main thing. I mean, obviously him winning previously was fantastic, but once you found out you had COVID, yeah, it should be a wrap.
Yeah. Did you watch the closing ceremonies?
I did not, but I caught clips of my girl, her, shutting it down as always, of y'all, America's son, Tom Cruise, still feeling the need to jump from high places.
Girl, he dropped from the top of the freaking stadium and then rode a motorcycle. Like,
I just don't know when enough is going to be enough for Tom. Like, is this how we're going to end things, Tom? Like, you're going to be 100 years old and you be like, no, don't even put a string on it. This is it. This is how we go. This is how we do it. Because he's getting up there and he still wants to play these games. Like even Harrison Ford, all them, yeah, they still do action movies, but they don't do stunts, Delora.
Truly. And then he's always running all over the place. It was really funny though, because he was at the gymnastics portion, and so was Nicole Kidman. And I'm like, I hope they didn't cross paths.
Oh, I'm sure Scientology wouldn't let that happen. They strap his ass in something and take him out the door for they let a run-in happen with what do they call them? Oh, I'm blanking. But there's a term when you leave Scientology and you no longer should associate with that person. They call them something. I can't think of the word.
No. Simone Biles is there holding the Olympic flag, not just the U.S. flag. It was the Olympic flag, which was pretty major. It was so funny. One of my favorite tweets was like, "Oh, Simone is staying back for the closing ceremonies." They were like, "No, she is the closing ceremonies." let's talk about our new favorite uncles at the Olympics. I'm referring to Snoop Dogg and Flavor Flav. Again, amazing job. Didn't know I needed them, but they definitely made me smile. Snoop managed to make his way to LA to perform, as France handed off the torch, so to speak. And we'll get into Flavor Flav in a moment because we're going to talk about the biggest controversy at the Olympics very soon. And Paris. So Paris is the best of times, but it also was the worst of times, Ashley. Everything from the way Coco Gauff ended up leaving, the judge, his last ruling made her freaking cry because it didn't make any sense. We have Aisha and the police and their baby. That baby was real fresh, though. I mean, I'm surprised. I don't want to be that. What Kevo says, he had, what do Black people take very seriously? Babies being out way too young, or not holding that baby's neck, or putting a hat on their head. But still, the disrespect was there. All types of crazy stuff has been going on with Paris. Do you have any thoughts or any particular scenarios that stood out to you?
I saw the Aisha Curry situation, but that was really the main one that I saw. But I mean, nothing else. I guess it's surprising to me just because I've always heard that like Paris was such a great refuge for like Black creatives and artists during eras when America was treating us like trash. And so I guess I'm just surprised.
I'm not. Serena Williams also wasn't admitted to a restaurant.
They said it was full though.
The person said they didn't know who she was, which also makes me question, like, But France in recent history had the same situation U.S. was going on, had a Trump-like leader, very anti-immigrant. So, yeah.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
I'm not in the know enough. Paris is on a lot of people's lists. It's not really on mine. I've never like Italy, yes, and that also is very problematic, but never Paris for me. So I've just always thought based on, folks like
Baldwin.
Yeah. You took it right out. I'm like, took it right out of my head. James Baldwin.
James Baldwin 100 years old.
He left, and there's been others too over time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's disappointing. Where do we go now? Germany? Heard great things about Germany.
Apparently they like Black women. So wherever you like Black women.
Heard good things about parts of Mexico, a big Black expat community in Mexico. There's a video on Instagram of this lady who gave a whole breakdown of the countries that love us and support us. Of the countries, because let's be clear, there's racism everywhere. We're not going to play like there's colorism. Not. So yeah, I was surprised by that though. But I mean, again, I'm not a big Paris person to know much. So
yeah. And the biggest one is the Jordan Childs controversy in gymnastics. As of today, while we're recording this podcast, she has been stripped of her medal. She's the first Olympian to ever be stripped from her medal for, there were only two reasons previously. It was doping or being underage. Because again, back in the day, people used to submit young people in to perform for their country. And then of course, doping. And she was stripped of her medal, even though the United States has video proof. CAS and the IOC decided not to receive it. And so U.S. Gymnastics is like, bet we're going to Switzerland. So I think it's important to stress that this is a freaking judge error. This is a judge error. It has nothing to do with her actual performance. Nothing done illegally except for them claiming 4 seconds late, which to me smells incredibly fishy, Ashley. Incredibly. And we just found out I believe it was the New York Times, said that the three person judge or whatever, one of them, the head one, has represented Romania in past disputes. So there's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
First of all, I knew something was wrong with 4 seconds, because I'm like, really, y'all got it down to a T. The country wasn't able to submit their evidence for review before you made a decision. The fact that we're even having this, the tears were enough for them to have this conversation 5 days after the fact too, Ashley, is also beyond my understanding as well. But the young lady that they said is now in third place has her bronze. So I'm assuming they didn't take it from Jordan, but it's the principle of the matter for me.
Yeah. It feels very unfair, very upsetting for Jordan. I mean, obviously for the young lady too, who had the discrepancy from the Olympics itself. I don't want to take away from her level of disappointment, but Jordan got up on that podium. Jordan was able to have her moment, and then to have this all come, a week or so afterwards and kind of shit on her moment is really upsetting to me. And you never know if you'll ever get to have another moment, because American athletes have to actually go through the process, even if you're a Simone Biles, of trying out for the Olympics every single time. And so this could have been her one and only time to be an Olympic athlete representing the United States. And so, I mean, it's very upsetting, and I root for everybody Black. So I was extra upset.
I do think that all Black girl podium had them shook. You can't tell me otherwise.
Racism is alive and well, so.
All right, Ashley. That's all I got for today. What are we recapping?
We are taking it over to Apple TV Plus, one of my favorite streaming platforms for a good television series, to recap Presumed Innocent. This was one of my hidden gems previously, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. It is 8 episodes, and it is kind of a whodunit courtroom drama that we will sink our teeth into. So excited to talk this one through, because it has some meat on its bones.
It does. I had
to
so
say
many
the
emotions.
Least. Yes, it was a good one. It kept you guessing till the end as well, which I really enjoyed.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for us. We'll get out of here. We appreciate it as always. Please share this episode with everybody you know. We will be back with our recap of Presumed Innocent. But in the meantime, as always, be blessed.
Bye.